Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
Welcome back. So we are going to have a short panel discussion on the importance of women in the spiritual nourishment of the world. So the world has been suffering since a lot of centuries about the male domination. In fact, not exactly male domination, the domination of masculine forces. Because there are many women who have already become men psychologically, psycho-emotionally. So it is a masculine force that has been dominating the world. So an awakening of feminine consciousness appears to be very, very important. The elements of caring and sharing appears to be very, very important. The yielding, nourishing, this appears to be more important in the present world scenario. So I've been trying to get women, spiritual women from across the world to be a part of the women empowerment programs. So for Asia chapter, I've been trying to get the Arab women. I've been trying to get speakers from the Middle East and Central Asia to speak, to represent their countries about the spiritual women empowerment. So we should have an exclusive women parliament on spirituality. We have already announced the dates for 2022. So we should have at least 400 to 500 women speakers across the world. Every country must represent, then send their women speakers to this summit. So today also we made two announcements. One announcement is on health. So let me coin the word as continued medico-spiritual education program. In medical conferences, all the medical events are called as CMEs, continued medical education programs. So because we are on the path of spirituality, we added S to this word, abbreviation CMSC now it is. So continued medico-spiritual education program. So we are going to have a world class or a global CMSC on the health day. That is the 7th April. So 5, 6, 7 April 2022, we are going to have the World CMSC program. And we also made an announcement on eco-spirituality, a World Summit on eco-spirituality that is going to be on 3, 4, 5 of June 2022. So we already made two announcements during the Australia chapter. One is on women empowerment that is going to be 6, 7, 8 March 2022. And Youth of the World United program that is going to be on 12, 13, 14 of August. So now herewith we are going to have the panel discussion of how important the women are in nourishing the world, spiritually nourishing the world. So to begin with, I would like to invite Ilona, Selke to share your inputs of how women are more important in the spiritual nourishment in the present world scenario. Thank you.
That's very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very impromptu question, but I have to admit something.
Yes.
I honestly feel, yes, you're right. We need a balance between the masculine and feminine forces. And that may or may not have to do with our gender. Because, as you said already earlier, many women have been masculinized in their way of being, right? Because they're trying to get ahead in the world, which, like you said, is heavily dominated and has been for centuries and millennia by the male species. Now, let's all remember we reincarnate not only into one species and not into one gender. So we reincarnate maybe as a human, maybe as an extraterrestrial. We also reincarnate sometimes into the male, sometimes into the female gender. I had a very important dream that I would like to just mention here in this. It was as if I was shown by guiding forces, by inner guides, an incarnational understanding of consciousness. And they showed me 4 layers. And each layer, they showed me a soul would go around the zodiac, incarnating through all signs, and through the completion would alternate between male and female incarnations, but not cleanly cut male and female. It would be like, let's just start with a male, slowly becoming more feminine until it became a female, but with masculine traits, becoming more feminine until it became female, then becoming more masculine in her expression until she incarnated, or that soul incarnated in all these variations on the theme. So female with more incarnated tendencies towards the masculine, a male with more or less tendencies towards the feminine, and moving through the zodiac. That was one cycle of incarnation. Now that takes a while. Then it showed me it would happen at a second level, at a third level, and at a fourth level. And the message they told me at the end was it was utterly important that people chose partners for life within the same level of understanding, each level being consecutively more refined, more global, more capable. Now, I already started earlier with this entire incarnational body, Earth, being a school for soul to remember its source, its origin, to come into alignment with the source, which is neither male or female. It's neither human or animal, it's the one. Now, I am a female in this lifetime. I have been male teachers in past lives, or male anything, and I've been female other uh, things, beings, and had various roles. But when I teach seminars, I say, and typically it's mostly women coming, right, to seminars these days. Personal growth appeals to women because they want to catch up. They haven't been permitted to even go to universities for more than 200 years in the Western world, or even sing operas for more than 200 years. So what is important to understand is the brain function of the male and the brain function, the tendency of the female. I say to all the very few men, I say, look, I'm going to give you one of the best excuses right now that you can tell everyone if you're getting into hot waters. And that's like this, and maybe Dr. Yugandhar, you might like this one. If you ever encounter a female that says, you're not listening enough to me, or you're not sharing enough of your emotions, right, which men typically hear from women, you have to say like this: well, my corpus callosum, unfortunately, is much thinner than that of a female. It's for good biological reasons. In the past, the males were out, let's say, hunting for a long portion of time. Now, if a male would scream at the sight of a lion at the end of his lifetime, right? No food coming home. A woman has to be able to relate to the child, and her corpus callosum is a lot thicker. So the left brain and right brain are much more integrated. So the information from the feeling, the more global whole brain thinking part, the right brain, the creative part, moves information into the left brain part more easily. So in other words, women can talk about their emotions. A man may feel them. In research with epileptic clients, they have cut the corpus callosum, and they've realized the person who didn't have access to transfer the information between the left brain and right brain was able to identify the tool if they were shown a screen with a split image showing, let's say, a spoon from the left side, right side of the screen to the left side. The person could say, I see a spoon. But if the same image was shown so that only the right side of the brain was reading the information, and it's our brain, as you probably better know to explain than I do, perceives the information if it's shown in a particular way, cannot transfer it into the left brain, but it knows it in the right brain. The person could pick out under the table a spoon from a selection of tools and rightly show the spoon, but couldn't say the word spoon. Likely, similarly, a male mind has a thinner corpus callosum. So it gives the mind of a male the ability to not speak so much about what appears irrelevant information, like emotions, intuitions, feelings, perceptions of subtler dimensions. But again, like I said, we go through incarnations of being more feminine and more masculine in either of the sexes. So you will have women who are more leaning to the masculine expression and men leaning towards feminine expression. But as far as leadership in our world currently, which is dominated by a very rational and scientific approach, not just masculine, but scientific mindset, which says only that which our eyes can see is truth and reality. Maybe we could blame the male mind on it. You know, it's a reaction to the Middle Ages, especially in Europe, where the beginning of alchemy and the scientists try to get the upper hand over religion, which was suppressing humanity. So the scientific approach was an attempt at trying to gain deeper insight into the workings of the universe, and not just to be told this is how God made it and end of story. and listen to the church. So it was an emancipation of humanity from religion. But we now are living under the suppression of what appears to be the mind model of the male, and what the feminine appears to be bringing. I would call it the holistic brain, the whole brain approach, is to use our intuition to get access from another dimension and bring the information in that we can see in other dimensions. And females tend to have it happen more readily. Although, if you look at Indians, all the saints that made it to publicity were all males, right? But we still have the female role models. We do have female role models in Europe as well. But right now, what is needed is leadership in integrating the right brain and the left brain, which we could say is the representation of the masculine and the feminine. And which is why I like to teach, not only through lecture, as I did earlier. I said, let's have an experience and go from inside experiences into verification of the outside world. So as far as how can we do this? We need to, and I've written books for that end. I have even books in Hindi, children books, which have been taught in some schools in India, utilizing methods to access the quantum field, the quantum understanding of reality through the use of what we would call humanly the mind of the imagination. It's a misnomer because that right brain can read information of what Einstein would call the knowledge of intuition without the logical approach which we associate with masculine thinking. So yes, let's support and contribute to schools tools that teach the children how to create whole brain thinking, partially training the children how to have access to the holographic nature of the universe. I gave a small example earlier in saying that we live in a soul-centric universe, and we contribute by pre-imagining even global changes, by pre-creating a blueprint internally. And I would call what we might say right now is the feminine approach is really spiritualizing science and bringing spirituality and science together to where the whole brain approach, or understanding the holistic understanding of reality, which is intuition and logic on the human level, but then field dynamics on another level, and become a field energy being that operates and brings into form information and behavior from a field dynamic, where when I said the sentence, this too you can learn to love, moves us, little tools like that move us into the field dynamic of becoming a field that embraces another field and creates synthesis from the opposites into synthesis. Same as between male and female, when they meditate and merge their soul awareness into singularity, into the single mind, a single eye, we create a new unit of consciousness that takes us, as the Tibetans say in their teachings, faster into enlightenment than anything else. So that's my contribution. Thank you.
Wonderful, Ilona. Thank you very much for wonderful exemplification of the male and female genders, how these genders discrimination and divisive consciousness can lead to the united whole or unified zone of energy. So definitely genders do divide. Genders, if it can be combined, a person can be a wholesome being. So the division of gender is only at a social reality at a body level, but at soul level, at psycho-emotional level, for soul there is no gender at all. And as you said, in one incarnation, one may be a female, and another incarnation, the same soul can be a male. So who are we actually? We are genderless beings basically, but identified more with the physical bodies and feeling that we belong to one gender. It's all part of discriminative, divisive, segmentalized consciousness of the mankind. So once we can all unify these energies of opposite genders, so the synthesis of a new energy will definitely begin. So over to you, Nirmala. I would like to introduce Dr. Amma Chingli. So she is also a global council member of the World United. So I request Dr. Lee to take lead in asking some important questions, Nirmala and Ilona as well. And they can also have a free hand to invite anyone here. So we'll continue for another 20 minutes or maximum 25 minutes and close the session, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yugandhar, for inviting me on this panel. It's just really heartening to be with this wonderful women and Sister Ilona. And we've danced together, we've taught together, we've sung together. And so it's just so beautiful to see you here. And thank you so much for bringing in this very transcendental view of women's spirituality. But I, like you, I feel that having been incarnated so many times as male warriors and politicians and magician male, I know the feeling of like having the drive to do what we do, just like you and I, we have the drive. And also with Sister Nirmala now as well, holding the feminine place for the planet Earth, pure, so pure, Sister Nirmala. That, thank you so much for that, holding for the Earth energies. And for example, my role is actually to hold technology as well, you know, bringing in the future science and quantum physics into the world. So from a very intuitive healing and feminine space, also feeling in my embodiment, becoming more masculine, right? And bringing the masculine energy of protection. For example, in the work of protection of children from sexual abuse, it takes a lot of the women warriors and the masculine protector and provider to go out there. So really, I see, Dr. Yugandhar, this platform that you have created so beautifully for women's spirituality as really feminine spirituality, and feminine in men, where men like you would create structures. And that's very masculine trait, to go out. It's very yang, to bring forth the yin aspect, to create structures so that it could be a chalice for the feminine to come into the blossoming and the celebration and the joy. And that's very feminine, the nurturing. So I thank you, Dr. Yugandhar, for creating this. It's your bringing out your feminine. So, and that's where, if we could even maybe rethink, refeel, that's very masculine, rethink, refeel, very feminine, the structuring of the women's spirituality platform to include the men as well. So then, you know, for example, yesterday the panel on education was so feminine. And I tried to provoke a little bit more of the masculine energy, but the two men were so beautifully embodied in the feminine that they kept going and talking about feminine spiritual principles. So that was really beautiful. That's really beautiful. So that's just my commentary on now. And I'd like to ask Sister Nirmala, where was it in Brazil that you had this marvelous connection with the planet? I want to know where, and what did the insects say to you? And what else did the earth speak to you? What else? What was the message from Anastasia from Sister Nirmala? What else was there to inspire us in our connection with the feminine?
Yeah, thank you. I want to add something to this topic about the feminine qualities for the future. What I see is that actually, if we create eco-spiritual communities all over the world as part of the future, I see this conscious communication with nature as being an important part of the education system. And this implies very much the feminine qualities in both men and women, because I want us to create the future food production in a way slightly different from what women know from the past, because we think that it implies a lot of hard work. And actually, the more we communicate with nature, the more effective, the less hard work it will be. And you know, this is stepping away from the masculine approach, because from the Bible, man was told that he had to sweat and work hard to provide. And we all have this inside of us, that we all have to work hard. But actually, if we can step into the feminine receptive quality, this is and the quality of listening, because these are the qualities that we need when we sit, when we go into nature, when we need to create to establish some food production. We must go and sit in the area, sit on the soil and meditate and listen.
Yes. Well, this is very heartening, Sister Nirmala, to hear you say that, because it's very close to my heart. I'm also a biodynamics practitioner, and also have studied permaculture, and very concerned about food production for the future and vital foods to give a substance to our soul energies. So this is really heartening. So can you just say, in your experience in creating food for yourself and for others, have you translated it into a larger production, let's say, to feed your community? What are some of your experiences? Because, for example, even in permaculture, we have to deal with pest management and also the use of grey water. And also the experience of communing with the Devic energies, as in Finhorn and Demeter, right? And so what are your very real everyday experiences in food production?
I have experimented with the science of the neighbor effect. You know, special plants are the best neighbors for other plants in order to keep away pets and to strengthen each other's. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also what I have noticed is that actually many of the plants that we call weed, that we don't want, because we are used to focusing on certain vegetables, but actually many of the wild plants that Mother Earth is already providing us with is so nutritious and so abundant. So we need a new approach. We need to incorporate the wild plants as a part of our daily nutrition, because it is even more powerful than the vegetables that we have. That we have had focus on for long time now.
I so agree with you, like the nettle, the dandelion, the plantain. Yes, all that. And I made a lot of medicines from that too, from in the Western world, and also focusing on tropical plants. So I see, Ilona, could you come in and just, lovely, and just contribute to this?
Yeah. As you mentioned Findhorn, as you mentioned Anastasia, my husband and I, we've experimented a lot with and have taught a lot of people around the world in agriculture using scalar technology. And scalar technology can be, if you wanted to say, Findhorn was doing it through prayer and communion with plants, like Nirmala is saying, meditate with the plants, but everything interacts with consciousness. So I just pulled up pictures, and I'm not sure if they're going to show. Here is the latest picture. Okay, this is sweet potatoes being grown in China. Now, in China, in that particular company, and they showed us other pictures of other crops they grew, they are not using fertilizers, they're not using pesticides, and they're creating organic food using informational field infused plants. So what does that do? It takes us to a new level of understanding reality. Quantum nourishment really is understanding that thoughts, or the energy thought, or the scalar field, can be imprinted onto plants. And whether we, like Nirmala is saying, as we do it individually by sitting with the plants, or we create electromagnetically collapsed fields and feed thought or prayer through it. We have agricultural people in America, in Mexico, in Europe, healing acidified forests, growing food without fertilizers, without chemistry, in greater yield than the comparative other people are doing, which is like taking us to a new level of understanding reality. It's understanding that informational fields, whether we do it through our own personal prayer or thoughts of communion with plants, or other ways of bringing informational fields to the reality. Dawn has written a book on it. There are examples of that, institutes, and this is one of them. They just sent us this picture and said, we are outdoing all the people who are using chemical fertilizers here in China. They have a bigger yield, greater, better tasting organic food than all the ones who are using chemistry. And the old method, like Dr. Yugandhar is saying, the masculine old way, but I would just say it's understanding the old way of being, right? Okay, so I would just wanted to contribute. We are doing it here. We're doing on a larger scale here at the Shambhala Retreat Center to produce enough food with using hydroponics, as well as the soil to grow in hydroponics water, and then the soil, and producing that way. And it is an art. We have planted permaculture with companion plants, nitrogen fixing plants that produce the nitrogen in the soil. But all of it is like, I love that you guys and Dr. Yugandhar, also that you bring that up, is nutrition, food, from the pranic level, as we had in the last panel discussion, but also this bringing informational fields into the food, whether it's prayer or consciousness, to grow a better product. Instead of thinking that there is this world to dominate, we now become the co-creator of reality, and our visions have something to do with the food that we produce.
Right. Ilona, I'm so excited also to hear you say this, because as a bridge myself from the ancient wisdom into modern science, I'm working with some scientists, as you know, and founders as well, including Dawn. And this is, if I may, I just have it right here. If you can see, can anyone see? It's a food freshness card.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And it has the flower.
Oh, yeah, the flower of life. Yes.
So we are actually taking this into technology, and this has, and very clearly, Sister Nirmala, I also understand the connections with the Davic kingdom, because I create also, through the grace of the divine, flower essences. So in order to do that, like in biodynamics or in Finhorn, we have to sit with the Davic energies and invite them in to do that. But now we can also produce it with these quantum and scalar technologies like this. This has 11 awards in the US. And it's,
wow.
I know, and it has USA patents. And this reduces food wastage. And we're taking that into supermarkets.
Awesome. Yes, really. Awesome.
And then after you put it with the plants and water the plants, they blossom, and they put it in the fridge, they last 3 times long.
Yes.
So the same with this, so we can structure water so the dyes are smaller, and it's bioavailable to our bodies as well as to the plants, and they love it. And the fish, they love it, so it's have new applications beyond hydroponics, Ilona, as you know, because hydroponics lack the substance to the connection of the earth, right? And now,
Well, yeah, I mean, we've done it different ways. We've worked with integrated with the fish nitrogen.
yes, the
all that hydroponics.
aquaponics, much better system. So, of food production. So this is really important that as women, because I love to cook and cook for people who are unwell and rebalance. I was a culinary consultant. So this conversation in Nirmala with about food production and connecting with food and spirit into our bodies and nourishing us, it's so intrinsic in us as women. Right?
I have two things to say, if I can.
Yes, and also tell us the location of Brazil, please. Then I want to invite Jacqueline in because she wants to talk about Brazil as well. Please, Sister Nirmala.
Yes, please let Jacqueline Maria Longstaff tell about the land in Brazil, because she was the one introducing me to that place.
Jacqueline, come on in.
But can I just
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, can just answer your question from before, what I experienced with the communication. For example, I created, this was the first season of a garden, and I have some expectations about how the crops what they should bring me. And some of them actually brought me something else. They didn't bring too much like of fruits, but they brought a lot of seeds. And when this happened, I realized, nature is clever. Nature has given me something very valuable to continue on for next season. So she gave me a slightly different outcome that I had wanted. And also I want to say I'm very impressed of what you guys are doing with technology, and I'm slightly different. I'm on the path of feeling very, very humble to the natural nature and exploring actually what she can actually do. Because I'm kind of tuned into that approach to it, that if I am as silent and as non-active, non-masculine as I used to be, if I approach her with the feminine qualities of humbleness and stillness and listening and receiving, then I'm sure she will guide us to how we can provide us with food with least amount of work.
Beautiful. We need everybody on this path, and people holding the purity like we did, or I did too, and everybody has a part in connecting with Mother Earth and really continuing the connection and the communication and the communion. We need everybody in all our gifts right now. So it's just perfect. Thank you so much, Sister Nirmala.
So thank you, Dr. Lee.
Yes,
and Ilona and Nirmala, thank you very much for your great inputs. And most importantly, I'm going to invite all of you, not just as speakers, to attend this World of the World United, Women of the World United, going to happen in August 2022. You be a part of it, not just be a guest speaker. You should be more than that. So I invite Ilona, what are your inputs about it? How would you like to get involved? I'm inviting you to be a part of the Women of the World United, the event that is going to happen in March 2022. It is a very special invitation to you.
Please send me information. I'd be happy to take a look at it and see how I can contribute. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So thank you very much. So with this, the day 2 track 1 of the World Parliament on Spirituality Europe chapter is getting closed. So we'll meet again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central European timing with some more beautiful souls to present themselves on various topics. Our spirituality, youth empowerment, and so many other topics are there. And the last day of the event is going to be on 27th of this month. So it is going to be completed by 1 p.m. Central European time. So thank you very much. Thanks once again. So let us have some short musical break, and after that we'll close the event. Thank you very much.